Fake carrots. Fake fruit. Fake. Fake. Fake grapefruits. Fake. Liar! You liar!
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I sure sound a lot better today, don't I? Well, I don't feel a lot better, but here we are, folks. Back in the bunker at it again. This is a very important Tuesday, though, folks. I think it's going to be my first I Can't Take It Tuesday for 2024. There's a lot of stuff going on. Let's cover it. But first, before I get into my stuff, let me remind you that it is a show for your stuff as well. So get your stuff down below in the comments. Ooman is going to scoop it up, put it in the list, and we'll talk about it. This is one of those shows, folks, where it's not just what I want to talk about. It's what you guys have. And we do it every single day, Monday through Friday. And that is an enormous, well-provisioned hot toddy that's loosening the throat up because we got a lot to talk about. And before we go anywhere, though, I want to cover this, and Ooman is responsible. That's right, Ooman. This is your fault. I didn't have any idea, but Delta, that's right, the airline Delta, and Delta should stand for don't even let them aboard, but they're back in the news at the same time as Boeing. That's right, Boeing, the airline company that can't put something together that won't fall apart faster. Anyways, a Delta plane took off, a Delta Boeing plane took off, and the nose gear wheel fell right off right after it took off. So I want to know, did someone mix up the difference between a bolt and a nut at the airplane hangar when they were working on these things? Did nuts. Strange that a nut has a hole in it. Did they mix up the nuts and the studs? You know, stud is a bolt. Because of the queerness of the names? Did they get confused? Thinking that, well, only a female part has a hole, but it's called a nut. No wonder. Hold that thought, Ooman. I want to know. I want to know what manner of stupidity and diversity, equity, and inclusion was used to select the mechanics. I have a feeling that you're correct, Ooman. If they had more inclusion, these things wouldn't happen as infrequently. And I mean that. I want to know if the airline mechanics are now Gen Z coffee baristas, age 24, that think they're too good to work for more than 40 hours a week for an entire decade while growing up, and that they've since demanded a $100,000 plus year a job, and they got hired, because we need more diversity, equity, and inclusion. Never mind the education that's real that teaches you something. They went to college and they got some social education, folks. They went to work as coffee baristas, but they deserve better than that. Oh, goodness gracious. Anyways, we've got massive political news here, folks. This is the biggest political news so far for 2024. Michelle Obama's secret plan to replace Joe Biden for the president emerges. So, there's a poll out there. I want you to answer in the comments below. Would Trump call Michelle out as Michael Robinson publicly or in a debate? What is more likely? Publicly asking Michelle if she is Michael, debate, or through the media, just saying it publicly? What is your guess? And you can also say, yes, Trump has the balls to say it. Or no, Trump does not have the balls to call out Michael Robinson Obama. That would be one hell of a day, wouldn't it? And no, it would be an even bigger day is if Michael threw down and his balls were bigger than Trump's. That would be a show. Don't discount it, folks. It could happen. It truly could. Why put away the opportunity? What a grand opportunity. Now, more gigantic news. In January of 2024, Michelle Obama's secret plan to replace Joe Biden for president emerges. Now, they're actually calling it a secret plan. Were you aware? I mean, unaware? Was it so secret none of us knew, or have we fucking been talking about it for weeks, if not months? Now, I am going to say this. If Michelle doesn't run, at this point, if Michelle Michael Robinson Obama doesn't run and replace Joe Biden, it's because she is even less popular with Democrat voters and Democrat donators, fundors. She's even less popular than Biden. And folks, to be that unpopular is saying a lot. And I don't think she's popular. Hillary Clinton was not popular. She was just the Democrat to vote for when you vote against Trump. It has been a massive, massive day in the world of political news, folks. Are you ready for more? Get ready for this. Ooh-man, are you ready? Ooh-man's ready. I'm ready. Michelle Obama's secret plan to replace Joe Biden for president emerges. Michelle is going to replace Obama. I'm sorry. Michelle is going to replace Biden by dressing up as an old white man. She's now going to be transracial. That's her next move. Yep, that's been released to the public. Transracial. That's it. That's it. I'm telling you, folks, there's some big news out there politically as this ridiculous political season heats up. Trump, all manner of criminal, civil lawsuits, federal, state, county, local government. They're trying to sue him and talk about a bunch of shit. Nothing is sticking, folks. It's all bullshit. It's incredible. I think one of the lawsuits today was reported that Trump actually has to be quiet. The gag order is upheld. Folks, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I think Trump should keep shooting off his soup cooler. I think he ought to keep talking. Fuck it. If he doesn't win this race, his life is over. Now, let's continue with other big news in politics. You guys ready? Everyone set? Michelle Obama's secret plan to replace Joe Biden for president emerges. Secret. Strong enough for a man, made for a woman, but Michael's okay with it being strong enough for a man. All right. Couldn't help it. Michelle Obama's secret plan to replace Joe Biden for president is emerging, folks. But can she pull it off? Or can she pull it out? That is the question. Can you imagine how excited the world of trannies would be? They would lose their shit when this comes out. Shouldn't they celebrate it and be excited and happy? Shouldn't they? They should be just ecstatic. Oh my God. Right? Their little rainbow colored hair would light up, stand on end. It would be crazy. I'm sure they would give discount BJs down at the Greyhound bus stop all night long after that news. Now, the big question about Michelle Obama's secret plan to replace Joe Biden for president. The big question is, Does she have the balls? Because inquiring minds want to know. They do. They do. All right. I'm gonna leave Michelle Obama alone for a little bit. But what do you guys want to talk about? Get your questions into Mr. Uman, because it is showtime, folks. Showtime. Shit is hit the fan. Now, we're leaving the United States of America. We're going up to the Great White North, Canada. And the Canadian federal court system has ruled that Trudeau, that's right, Justin Turdhole, the Prime Minister, his usage of the Emergencies Act against the truckers in Canada back in 2022 was considered, quote, unreasonable and unconstitutional. That's right, folks. 2 fucking years later, Canada's court. Why did it take them 2 years to figure this out? Unreasonable. That word appears in American jurisprudence under the typical phrase, it prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures, right? And then the word unconstitutional, they throw that around the same way they throw around salt and pepper when you're cooking in a kitchen. They just throw that shit all over the place. It ain't nothing. Now, I think that Justin Turdhole, himself a questionable person as to gender, they should punish him for his violation, right? To be unconstitutional is to use a rule that violates the Constitution. It's a violation. If I violate the speed limit, I get a ticket. I pay dollars. If I violate the rules of the road, I get a ticket. My insurance goes up. I get a ticket. I get too many of them. I get arrested and go to jail. If I violate someone else's rights, the government comes after me, charges me with violation of those rights, and I go to jail. Why is it that asshole government officials violate our rights constantly and nothing happens to them? Now, if I'm driving down the road, doing 55, looking good, and I get lit up, right, rollers. I'm like, fuck, right? I pull over, roll down the window. Is there a problem, officer? He's like, you were speeding. I'm like, I was only doing 55. He's like, yeah, but the speed limit's 45. I'm like, man, I didn't know I was violating the speed limit. I thought it was something else. He'll be like, that'll be license and insurance papers, please. And I'll be like, hey, man, can you cut me some slack? And he'll be like, license and insurance, please. I'll be like, here you go, pal, right? He goes back to his car. He writes me a fucking ticket. I didn't know the speed limit was only 45. I thought it was 55. It doesn't matter whether you knew it or not. You violated the law. You pay the penalty. It shouldn't fucking matter that Trudeau didn't know the Constitution. Somehow he failed that fucking class in high school, in college, in graduate school, as a politician. Somehow he forgot all about the Constitution. Whoops-a-daisy. And he violated everyone's rights, especially the truckers, who he ordered the police through his emergency powers to arrest, detain, confiscate their vehicles, confiscate their bank accounts, take their fuel, take their firewood, annoy them, arrest them, detain them unlawfully, and even torture, folks. I'm going to put that out there. Because Justin Turdhole, well, I just forgot all about the Constitution somehow. I didn't think it was a big deal. Sorry, you little bastard. It is time for government officials to pay for their violations, whether they know it or not. Don't you agree? Hey, I didn't know it was a 45 speed limit. Sorry, officer. Well, here's your fucking ticket, John. Tell it to the judge. Then go talk to your insurance company. In fact, there was a ruling recently. It had to do with that woman who was arrested and taken off of a commission in Ohio. It's a three-person panel. She was arrested while performing her official government duty, arrested by police for obstructing a government function. They interrupted and obstructed a function by arresting her, claiming her criticizing the sheriff was obstruction. Isn't that just fucking grand? Well, the judge said, you guys, as panel members on that, having her arrested, and the police or law enforcement, sheriff, for arresting her, you should have known better. And so they are being personally held liable. Turd hole should be held liable. Biden, everyone in D.C. should be held liable for every single fucking violation. And I am absolutely disgusted with the Border Patrol. If you are a libertarian Border Patrol agent, resign. Just fucking resign. Transfer out. Go somewhere else. That is the most shameful, disgusting law enforcement agency for the week. Because I know there's another disgusting law enforcement agency out there that wants to try and top them. The Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett, sided with liberal, lying sacks of shit Democrats, socialists. So did, of course, Justice John Roberts, also a lying sack of shit. He is the one on the Supreme Court who said the Obamacare, wasn't a penalty or a fine for not obeying him. It was a tax. And you got a tax rebate if you buy their fucked up insurance. It's not a fucking tax. And even if it was a tax, it was unlawful. Because all taxes are supposed to be apportioned according to the Constitution. Not the fucking statutes. Not the tax code. The Constitution says apportioned. Meaning we all pay the same. Anyways, these fucking people, folks. I can't wait to hold them responsible. The Border Patrol filmed cutting the wire, letting an illegal come in who was laughing, talking shit, does a knuckle bump. The Border Patrol gives them a knuckle bump like, yeah, fuck America. This is our country, folks. Are you pissed off yet? Are you awake yet? Do you realize what the time is yet? Well, if you don't, you should. Now, this was an interesting news story. When I read it, it didn't impress me. Speaker of the House, MAGA, Mike Johnson. Make America Great Again, Mike Johnson, says that he went to the White House and had a talk with Biden and confronted him face to face about the border. And he said, as part of his diatribe, which I'm not going to take the time to read, he said, as part of that, do your job. Well, did Mr. Johnson say it like a man? Did he say it like I would have said it, with the choicest cuss words befitting a traitor like Biden? No, I'm sure he was nice. I really do. I'm sure he was nice and polite, that he was respectful to the office. Remember when you were supposed to be respectful to the office? Respect works both ways, folks. It's not just that Biden has raised taxes a little higher than I want. It's not just that inflation is higher than I want or interest rates are higher than I want. It's not just those things. It's everything. The total disdain for this country to claim that he's serious and he's ready to solve the problem. Well, the problem has been his from the very beginning, Joe Biden. And I believe Speaker Johnson said that. It's been your problem to solve, and you could have solved it at any time. I get it. The time to be nice is fucking over. There is no being nice anymore. It used to be Democrats and Republicans could work on each other, with each other. They could talk to each other. There's a fucking gulf that is opened up, and it is so wide, it's off the screen. You can't even see the other side. There is no bridge. There is no arrow with a message on it that could be launched far enough to reach those dumb fuckers. Are you prepared? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, plan, your area, 10-mile radius around you. Who is in it? What are they going to do? How much government is there? How much resources with respect to food and water is available beyond what you have stored? We've got trouble coming, folks. Now, being clever and being smart, being smarter than the people on the other side, not hard to do. I'm going to tell you what's going on in Chicago. One of the city councilmen from the Chicago area, right? Chicago, like many cities, has suburbs. The wealthier, more successful people move further away from the city and say, fuck it, if I'm going to work there, I'll drive in and commute out. Well, the city councilman has challenged his left-wing liberal Democrat constituents, the people that are in his district that he represents. And they've got a big problem in Chicago because Governor Abbott from the state of Texas keeps shipping illegal immigrants up to Chicago. And this is what this councilman says. Sign up to open your homes to put illegal aliens in it. Put your money where your mouth is. Put your house where your mouth is, right? Open your heart. Open your front door to the illegal aliens. How many people do you think are going to do that are registered Democrats, whether they're in the city of Chicago or in the suburbs? I'm going to give you my guess. Zero Democrats will allow unknown, unvetted, undocumented unknowns into their homes. I mean, can you fucking imagine how stupid that is? But they want people to do it. Just not them. Just not them. Now, I want to drop back a little bit. And talk about the Supreme Court and this barbed wire fence down on the Texas-Mexico border. Let's talk about fences and barbed wire used to protect sensitive areas, like an airport, for example. You don't just want any liberal Gen Z coffee barista working on your jets. You want only qualified DEI losers, scumbags, wimps, and whiners. So you use a fence at the airport to keep unauthorized people out. And you put barbed wire on the top of it. Any government installation, what do? They put up fences and barbed wire. Private corporations, you bet, fences and barbed wire to keep people out. And even in Washington, D.C., what do? They put up fences, they put up barbed wire when they're afraid of their territory being invaded. You know, kind of like what? The January 6th protests. That's right, folks. Now, they tried saying that it was wrong for Trump to put security fences up, but it was Obama who started shutting down Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, I want to ask you this other question. Do you think Justice John Roberts is compromised? That he is subject to extortion or blackmail? Because he has allegedly been on the Lolita Express. Why does that story keep coming up? Why does that story keep coming up? I would like to see the evidence. Is it true or is it not? I want to know. Because if Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, the Supreme Court of the United States, if any of them, or any of their clerks, or any of their subcontractors took a ride on the Lolita Express down to Little St. James, Fantasy Island, to visit their good buddy, Jeffrey Epstein, they should definitely be forced to leave office, to drop their contracts, to resign their jobs. So we have to ask the question, though, in general, is there anyone, is there any patriot in America who doesn't have a suspicion, who isn't concerned that the Supreme Court members are bribed or blackmailed? They're examining the question of the fence in Texas, the barbed wire. And they're looking at that pine needle, and they don't see the forest. They don't see the country being invaded. The bigger question here is not a fence. It's the fucking border. The bigger question here is not how you protect the border, but is it or is it not being protected, and who or who is not the primary responsibility? And do we as citizens have a right and a duty to protect our country from invasion, attack from foreigners? The answer is yes. Well, wouldn't we hear from Biden that if you were sitting in Virginia Beach, on the beach, in a chair, and you noticed Russians were paddling up, wearing, scuba gear, up onto the beach, and they're Russians, and you could run to your car, you could run to your truck and get your AR-15. Biden would want you to kill those Russians, wouldn't he? He'll have you protect the country from the evil Russians. By the way, how many millions was it that the mayor's wife, the mayor of Moscow, his wife gave Hunter Biden? Anyways, I have a strong suspicion that the Supreme Court are controlled. Amy Coney Barrett, what have you done? Time to come clean. Be honest. Why the fuck would you throw your hat into the side of the aisle where one member says, I don't know how to define what a woman is? You cast your lot with them, you trashy piece of shit. Amy Coney Barrett. And yes, I supported her nomination. When I heard it, I thought, okay, there's a mother, a judge, she's Catholic. Whoops. I guess she goes to the same Catholic fucking church that Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden go to. Whoops-a-daisy. How about that, huh? How about that? I tell you, not a good scene, folks. Let's see what Chin Music has for me in the email today. The World Health Organization, the WHO. It is my understanding, folks, that the leader of the WHO is a former terrorist sympathizer, or even allegedly himself a terrorist. How did he get to be in charge of the WHO? Well, in any event, whether that allegation is true or not, the WHO has now named a former prostitute, a hooker. This is incredible. That's who we really need, right? I don't even know how to read this properly. I'm not afraid of using the bad words. But there is a there is a transgender health board with the World Health Organization. Is that something the world needs to worry about? Transgenders? Well, they name a prostitute. They have hired, put in position a prostitute who is the gender fucking theorist. The gender fucking theorist that works with the Transgender Health Expert Board. And to top it off, the board itself under the World Health Organization is made up mostly of radical, filthy, perverted, disgusting transgender activists. Do you think we're supposed to call them experts and accept everything they say? I thought we were supposed to trust the science. You know what the science says about transgender people? People with gender dysphoria? The DSM manuals say it is a mental illness. So the World Health Organization puts people who are the most unhealthy mentally on a board to help the rest of the world deal with their sickness. That's right. You should accept it, folks. Accept it. That's what they want for you. That's what they want for your kids. Accept their bullshit. Thank you very much. Mr. Chin Music. Wow. I'm going to do this. I am now going to roll the program on over to you guys. I want to know what you're thinking, what's on your mind, what topics there are, as much as I feel like shit. And I'm half lit on medicinal hot toddies. I am pissed off at these people. I'm sick of them. They're a bunch of sick fucks. So let's do this. Let's get it on. Let's go to the inner circle with you. Here we are. We're back. Mr. Ooman, what do we got, man? Where are we going to start off the show? And I know you've got thoughts too, Ooman, so never be afraid to share, man. If you need to come on live to explain it properly, in case I don't do enough, you know you're always welcome. All right, folks. Barking Wolf Spider checks in. He says, to be respected, one must first be respectable. Fear is not respect. Far too many people don't understand the difference between fear and respect. Enemies should fear you. Your countrymen should respect you. That's an interesting set of statements, and I appreciate what you did there. I remember as a child fearing my parents, fearing getting in trouble. I also remember that as I grew up, as I learned, as I became more intelligent, that fear turned into respect. There was always love, folks. My parents didn't beat the shit out of me and do awful things to me. But it was a matter of, I guess, understanding what it is parents are and what they do and why they do it, etc. Your enemies, they can understand you and they can respect you. But they do need to start from a position of fear, absolute fear. I think that's where everyone starts, is with fear. And you learn to respect. When I was a kid, I feared the Soviet Union. I did. I feared that. I feared nuclear annihilation. I don't think there was ever any respect, though, because I understood what my parents were doing. I understood what in boot camp my drill instructors were doing. I understood when I was a Fleet Marine what that was about. I understood the mission and the whys. Didn't always agree with it, but I understood it so I could respect what was happening. I don't respect a fucking communist or a socialist or a Democrat or a liberal or an Antifa member or a BLM member. I don't respect any of them, nor do I fear them. I don't fear the government, nor do I respect it. I understand it and I loathe it for what it does to people. Our countrymen, we should respect one another. But you can only do that if someone is a good person. As Barking Wolf Spider says, you must first be respectable. A communist, folks, will come to you and tell you, give all your money to the government, and they will distribute it as they see best. Is that respectable, stealing your money? A communist will come to you and say, this is a gun, we're pointing at you. Give us everything you have and we'll redistribute it, because to each according to their need. There's nothing respectable there. They're thieves. And for people who say no, they say, give us all your stuff. They pull a gun, and when you say no, they shoot you. Bang, you're dead. There is nothing respectable about that. Fear for America that could happen. That's real. Fearing the actions happening to me? I don't think so. Fuck these people, folks. They are full of hate and evil, and they will destroy you and our country if they aren't squarely met. I respect Americans. I do not respect these un-Americans. Great topic. Thank you, Barking Wolf Spider. As we roll on through the inner circle, who wants to step up next? Mr. Uman, it is name redacted. He writes, it's either money, power, position, or sexual proclivity on all of them. You don't get past a point if you're not them. He's talking about the Supreme Court. We may as well be talking about the House of Representatives. Name redacted writes, he supposedly had questionable issues with his adopted kids. I know Amy Coney Barrett has adopted children. I don't know about Justice John Roberts. I just don't know. But what you're talking about is being in the club, being a part of the government syndicate, being a part of the Washington, D.C. Insiders Club, where you can be invited to orgies, where you're part of the pizza and hot dogs crowd. You know, Obama ordered pizza and hot dogs and had it sent all the way from Chicago to the White House, because pizza and hot dogs is really what they eat in the White House, and it really needs to be flown from Chicago? Or did it have to do with children, little boys and little girls? They're that awful, folks. I believe every bit of it, that these people are disgusting. You can ask Madison Cawthorn. In fact, he came out and told. The only thing he didn't do was name names. That other rather despicable fat little bastard who was a Republican, who was expelled from Congress based on nothing more than allegations, no trial, no charges, no crimes, just an allegation alone. The Republicans threw his ass out of Congress. Well, don't worry, the Democrats voted to do it as well. Expelled for no crime. Yet you have Adam Shifty Shithole Schiff lie to the American people, lie in the January 6th committee, lie publicly, lie privately, lie every chance he got about Trump and Russia. Yet that sack of shit has been allowed to maintain his position of authority, to maintain his seat in Congress. You want lies? Nancy Pelosi. You want lies? James Comey. James Comey, former director of the FBI. You want lies, Hillary Clinton? In order to believe anything she has done or said, you have to suspend your disbelief. In other words, you have to believe a crock of shit. That's who these people are, folks. That is exactly what they are. Completely. Completely. Just a bunch of crap. I tell you what. Speaking of Adam Shifty Schiff, former Major League Baseball great Steve Garvey, I believe first baseman for the LA Dodgers. He was a childhood hero of mine. I played first base in Little League and then Senior League, and I was a Dodgers fan. So watching Steve Garvey and Ron Say and the Dodgers play was just a great thing as a kid. It was like the fucking Sandlot. Steve Garvey is running for state senate in California. I don't know what kind of Republican he is, but he's running against Adam Schiff, the lying, bug-eyed sack of butt pirate bullshit. I'm tired of people giving these people a pass. Say what they are. Don't let them have a pass. Call them out. Kind of like Eye Patch McCain. What a great name for that scumbag who has assaulted reporters. I don't care if they're annoying. You're a congressman. Deal with it. There's going to be people who don't like you. He insulted and went after a little girl. Literally, Eye Patch McCain. That's the kind of person he is. Okay. Yeah. So to get into their club, you're going to give up money to get money. You're going to give up who you are, your morality to get your power. You're going to give up. You're going to commit an illegal act so they can control you, and then they'll give you positions of authority. And it will be sexual in nature because those are the worst kind of despicable crimes. Pizza and hot dogs. The little ranch down in Texas, the ranch where Justice Scalise died, SCOTUS Justice, little boys' ranch, allegedly. All of these people. And I think Name Redacted is correct. You don't get past a certain point if you're not part of their club. And you're not allowed to be in that club until you get to D.C. And then you either get in their club or they throw your ass out. I've been rather disgusted with Congresswoman Boebert and the fact that she would date a Democrat. That she would show up drunk in a public place. Hey, look, have a good time, get fucking drunk, party your ass off. But show up inebriated at a public function, a play, and be playing trouser shark pud pool with a guy that she claimed she didn't even know his fucking politics. Turned out he was a liberal. What kind of bullshit is that? And like he didn't know who the fuck she was. Wouldn't surprise me if she didn't get roofied. So she would act a little goofy. So they could catch her on camera. So that they could then start owning her. How did they own Marge Taylor Greene? Why can't they seem to own Matt Gaetz? They hate his fucking guts, folks. If you'd seen the look on Kevin McCarthy's face every time he had to look at Matt Gaetz. Interesting shit. Thank you, Name Redacted. Mr. Uman, let us move on if we shall. I am in a fucking rare mood today. John Roberts is an island hopper. Chin Music, I would love to see his name on the flight manifest. He says, the one constant in life, build something worth having and a leftist will try and take it. Correct. It goes back to that whole socialist communism thing. For example, you, Chin Music, you could decide you're going to open your own dojo, your own MMA studio, mixed martial arts studio. You would go out and get the venture capital or risk your own money. You would pay for a lease. You would pay for the equipment. You would pay for the marketing. No one else helping you. You take all the risk. You mortgage your house. You sell family real estate, whatever it takes. You put all that risk up there. And if you fail, you lose everything. But if you succeed, the government is right there to take its taxes. Tax the business, tax the employees, tax the profit. The local government will tax, the state government will tax, because that's what they do. They have no risk and they get all reward. And then they stand up there with their sanctimonious attitude and bullshit, with their pious nose in the fucking air, when probably an hour before that they had their nose in someplace nobody ought to be putting their nose. That's who these people are, folks. In fact, you know what's fascinating? Thank you, Chin Music. Leftist scumbag Democrats will steal everything they can get, and they'll use government power to do it. Now, what's interesting, folks, that came up today in the news, the Democratic Socialists of America. That's right, there's an actual Democratic Socialists of America party. Of course, they try and keep that distinct from the Democrat Party. But the Democratic Socialists of America are not doing well. They're going broke. It's sounding and looking like, according to the report I saw, that they are going to be laying off staff members. Isn't it interesting that a group of people, and a large group of people at that in America, who would demand you forfeit your wealth, your money, your income to them, and they'll evenly distribute it how they think is fit. They won't even support their own fucking political party. But I'm going to go beyond the headline that left-wing Democrat socialist scumbags, every last one of them like Michelle Obama, they won't even support their own party. So the big question is this. Not why won't they? I know why they won't. I've met enough of them in person. They won't give a fucking dime of their money up. They don't pay taxes. They lie, cheat, and steal. And they even admit that, don't they, during elections? They want you to pay for their shit. So who is supporting organizations like the Democratic Socialists of America? Who is supporting the Communist Party of America? Who is supporting Antifa? A bunch of college miscreants who commit violent acts of terror. Who is it that is supporting BLM? I'll tell you who's supporting BLM. It's corporations. Corporations are supporting another organization, BLM, a Marxist, LGBT transsexual organization for blacks. It is Soros types, folks. It is World Economic Forum types, which means corporations. They are the ones who shuttle money into these fringe, left-wing, anti-American groups. Now, it's interesting to me that the Democrat Socialists of America are not doing well. Does that mean Soros and the World Economic Forum doesn't believe in them? I'm going to surmise that George Soros, or rather Alex, his son, and the World Economic Forum corporations no longer need the Democratic Socialists of America party. They don't need it. Why should they support that when the Democrat Party itself is so socialist that it's even communist? Why do they need a separate party, the Democratic Socialists, when they just have the plain old Democrats? They've come out of the closet screaming like Liberace sitting on Elton John's lap at the piano. That's how fruity these people are, folks. There is no shame. There is no dignity. They're a bunch of sick bastards. Period. Absolutely, period. Oh, man. Anyways, good luck to Steve Garvey. And I really hope that he is a Republican and not just a fucking rhino. But it wouldn't surprise me. He's California Republican. They're not the strongest types. You know, you got to pander to the middle. Yes, you do. You got to pander to the middle. All right. Mr. Uman. We got Heidi, who says a survey found that the 80% of elite who make more than $100,000 a year approve of Biden. They're not concerned about the peasants. Uman says, I believe the survey was of people with at least one advanced or postgraduate degree. The survey also said they have no problem with government regulating how much food, fuel, etc. people are allowed to get and use. Now, this is interesting. I bet all of this that you said is probably very accurate. These educated knotheads. And $100,000 a year is not very much money, folks. There was a time in my life when I made that. Don't worry, that money is being properly cared for by my ex. $100,000, though, is not that much money. It just isn't. So what happens? What is it that is going on in their minds is what I would like to know. I can tell you that where I'm at now and where I was at in California, people who made more than $100,000 a year, 4 out of 5 of them were not approving of Biden. Wealthy people do not like to pay taxes. The wealthier they get, the less taxes they pay. Period. I get raked over the fucking coals. You probably get raked over the coals by the IRS and the tax code. But I think there's something that happens when you become wealthy. I'm going to guess, and I'm not doubting you, Heidi, but I bet that number would be more accurately placed against someone who made $1 million a year or more. Because when you make that much money, there are so many ways that you can hide it. So many different ways to hide it. It becomes easier to hide money the more you make. Why do you think the left-wing lunatics, Jack Smith, fat-ass Fannie Willis, Judge Chutkin, Judge Erdogan, why do you think they hate Trump so much? They're going after him for telling a private company, not the government, a private company, that his property was worth more than they said. Or he was saying his property was worth more than they say it was worth. Therefore, a crime must have been committed. You know, Trump is not a dumbass. Trump is a billionaire. So Trump knows how to get around taxes. They don't like that. He can do it. They think he should pay more. Do you think they're going to bother talking to Bernie Sanders? Nope. Leave that communist piece of shit alone, right? They're not going to bother with each other, folks. You think the IRS is going to go after donors to Democrats? That's why they approve of Biden, because Biden's protecting them. It's a fucking game, folks. It's a club of bigwigs, and we ain't in it. Okay, Mr. Uman, we're running out of time. We're running out of time. Who is up next? Uman has this. He says, hey, rumor has it that Mayor BJ, that would be the idiot communist, folks, communist, mayor of Chicago. Mayor BJ is having panic attacks over this whole illegal immigrant situation. You bet he is. He's having panic attacks. He's having great anxiety. Oh, I feel so bad for the communist. Why is he having panic attacks, folks? He's having panic attacks because his city is being overrun by illegals that Joe Biden has led in the country. Why isn't he out at the front with microphones and cameras and television crews screaming that Joe Biden is a sack of un-American shit for allowing our country to be invaded? Well, because they're playing on the same team. So who can he blame? Mayor BJ is a fucking idiot. Texas, the small towns along Texas, like the one where Chin Music lives, they are the ones being overrun. And a few of them, a small percentage of what is overrunning small towns, in El Paso, of course, in Texas, a small percentage of that is making it to Chicago. And Mayor BJ can't fucking handle it. Now, I think there's a good SHTF lesson in here as well, folks. And it has to do with why I cuss. It's fun for me to use colorful euphemisms and foul language to describe these cocksuckers in the Democrat Party. But it's also to toughen people up. I want everyone tough. There's tough situations out there. There's going to be tough situations in your bunker, in your home, in your life as a consequence of what they are doing. Mayor BJ is a thin-skinned hymen who is going to get torn up. He wanted to be mayor. Look at the shit he's got to deal with. He can't handle it. Look at your world, that 10-mile radius around your location. You're in the middle, 10-mile radius. You need to understand what's there. So you are tough. You think people coming down the street causing trouble? You think they're going to be singing nursery rhymes and shit? No. They're not going to be selling flowers and candle and cookies and shit. No. They're going to show up and knock on your door. They're going to demand of you the way Antifa and BLM demanded. Let us sleep in your house. Give us your food. Share, man, share. We're hungry. You better toughen the fuck up, or they will kick your door in, and they will victimize you. It was a big story about someone else who got victimized I covered. You guys remember that? You should. You should. Here's a story of someone who didn't fucking defend themselves. 23-year-old man. He was a Christian. He was a volunteer working for the church in Washington, D.C. He was fatally shot. He was walking down the street with some friends. A car pulled up. Some unidentified suspects. Yeah, like they're going to pull up and say, my name is Fred Q. Jones. Address 12345 Pine Street, Washington. No, of course they're fucking unidentified. They asked him for money. They said, we don't have any. No. So one of the guys gets out of the car and shot this young man dead. If I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. Always be ready. Always be prepared. If you are armed, be ready to deploy at any moment. If you aren't armed and you're met with one of these people, flee the second you feel trouble is coming. If you can't defend yourself, run. They can't hit a target holding the gun sideways anyways. They don't know that this is how a gun works. This looks cool if you're a fucking idiot. If you're running away from them and zigging and zagging, they won't hit you. Fight or flight, but don't be a sitting duck and stand there and let them shoot you. In SHTF, murderers and thieves won't fight fair. They won't fight clean. They're just going to come after you, period. Period. And suburbs, folks, the suburbs, they're not safe. A defenseless man captured on video and 3 thugs in Philadelphia, not downtown, but in the suburbs. They executed him after they robbed him. They executed him after they robbed him. Are you prepared to be ambushed and lose your life? Or are you going to pay attention, toughen up, get prepared, be armed, be prepared to deploy, run if necessary? It's on, folks. Shit has hit the fan, and these people are that jacked up. Governor Abbott said about Amy Coney Barrett's and John Obama tax Roberts about the invasion they're allowing. He says, quote, "I will continue to defend Texas's constitutional authority to secure the border." That's right. Texas itself is its own sovereign state, a member of the United States of America, bound under the United States Constitution. They are not subservient to the federal government. The government at the federal level is charged with protecting the border. If they're not doing their fucking job, Texas has a right as a sovereign state to protect its own border. The fact that Amy Coney Barrett and John Obama tax Roberts have decided to violate common sense, decency, and intelligence and rule in favor with someone who doesn't know what a fucking woman is and someone who's a fat tortilla tossing slob and the rest of those left-wing communist sellout hacks doesn't change the fact. And Amy Coney Barrett, listen loudly. The Declaration of Independence is law. Custom, tradition is law. And the Declaration of Independence is such. I wish they would fucking listen. You learn one of 2 ways, either by using your brain or by getting your ass kicked. That's all there is to it. You either learn intelligently or you fight. And it looks like we're going to fight, folks. The Attorney General for Texas, Ken Paxton, says the fight is not over. It's not over, folks. It's not over. Not by a fucking long shot. Urban Aboriginal. I want to say hey to you, brother. I got your email, Udi. Sick as a dog, yes, but let's get together. We need to have some more self-defense talks here on the Prepared Mind channel. Rudy, the Urban Aboriginal on YouTube, he reached out to me and said, hey, we got to get together and talk about some more defense strategies. Like I just covered, we're getting people assaulted. I think that Rudy might be able to tell us some simple concepts and maybe some practice exercises to help you defend yourself and defend others. Anyways, we'll get to that soon, folks. Right now, I'm going to wrap the show up. I'm exhausted. I'm sick. I'm tired. And I'm fucking pissed at Washington, D.C. and all their shit. But I'm not an unreasonable man. This isn't the last inning of the baseball game. It's not the last fight to be fought. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Godspeed, Semper Fi.